night. We're having conversations that inspire and ignite, from relationships to wellness. Cover it all in this positive space. We're standing tall. We're the men of the talk show, spreading good vibes, sharing knowledge, opening hearts wide. We got positive energy flowing through. Join the conversation.
All right, welcome back to the Men's Talk Show. Wayne and Duran are here again, and we are so grateful for you guys, for your followers, for your views, for your feedback. You know, it's really good and encouraging for us as we're doing these shows to hear the feedback that you guys that we're doing positive, because that's what we want to do around in this men's mental health space. And so thank you for that. If you're watching this, please subscribe and like. You know, that just empowers us to do more and do more videos for you guys. But nonetheless, today we got a special guest, a guy that I worked with 10 years ago. He's a husband, a father, he's God-fearing. He's a veteran. He's been in for 10 years. He's a fitness influencer and a realtor down in Hampton Roads. So without further ado, I want to introduce Tawian Buford to the Men's Talk Show. Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. Thank you, Men's Podcast, for bringing me on. I came across some shorts on YouTube, which is crazy because I was just explaining to Wayne. I ran into some shorts and I was strolling through, and it was interesting conversation, and I realized that Wayne looked familiar, and it just so happened to be 2 weeks later we ended up connecting, and now I was able to get on with him and Duran and have some good conversation, share some good talks, and speak on men's health. So let's jump into it.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here, man. Like I said, we first worked together 10 years ago at the Ceremonial Guard in Washington, D.C., the Navy Ceremonial Guard. He always had good energy. He was a good dude, and so if you're looking to follow somebody who gives out positivity, he's definitely someone to follow. And so let me ask you, what is something that what does men's mental health mean to you?
Men's mental health means a lot to me. Truthfully speaking, I think it was more, it wasn't as talked about as it is now. I think a lot more people have brought it more to the forefront. I think they're starting to understand how much men take on. So for me, mental health for men, it means the world, because a lot of times we don't get that opportunity or that safe space or that safe haven to kind of express what we feel, how we feeling. A lot of times we don't even know how to do so. A lot of times we're not emotionally intelligent enough to even explain, the feeling that we're having. 9 times out of 10, you ask a male, "Hey brother, how you doing today?" "Oh, I'm good. There's over 80 emotions inside of, there's over 80 emotions in the dictionary, words that can describe, your actual feelings. So I think as males, increasing our knowledge on mental health, learning to explain how we're feeling, it's a major key. I had mental health battles a few years back, still improving on them today. I just know sometimes certain people get to a point they feel there's no return, and they don't have that person to go to or that shoulder to lean on. And this space here that you guys have created allows people to come on and understand that there's men in the same predicament, same situations, or going through the same things, and that they can relate to, and they have something to kind of to gauge it from, instead of kind of going out and keeping that feeling of feeling alone, feel like they have to kind of shut themselves out. So men's mental health means a lot to me. It just, we're heavily involved, especially when it comes to kids and work. We have a lot to kind of balance out. So kind of keeping ourselves equal or level-headed, not too high, not too low, it's a key to sticking around longer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that's exactly why we created this space. Just for people to know that there's a safe space to release those emotions, that you're not the only one going through those things. And you talked about some of your battles real quick. And so I want to ask you something, because like you said, we as men, especially as Black men, don't really discuss this a lot, right? And one of the hardest things I did in my career was when I was at the Ceremonial Guard, and I was in charge of the funeral. So the Ceremonial Guard, you have somebody who's in charge of a funeral, and What that means is like you're giving commands to the guys who do the rifles, who do the gun salutes, who carry the casket, which is what you did. And so one of the hardest things for me was to sit there and read that speech that we had to and pass over the flag to a grieving widow. That's something I really wasn't ready for, and I didn't really know how to express like that to other people. Like that was a big deal. I mean, I know like you become desensitized over a while, and you do it so many times. Like I only did like 5 funerals, but I mean, you was doing those 5-6 times a day. So how was that?
You know, the fact that you brought that up is just amazing, because this is something that was actually being seen for in therapy, and I had to actually go through EMDR sessions to help get past those stages in life. And one thing I'm starting to realize is that, or one thing I've learned, you know, during my therapy sessions is that during those times we had to minimize our feelings and kind of storm away, because you know we're taught to stay still, keep the straight face, you know, show no emotion. No smirking, no. So during those times we're not given that chance to grieve. It took me all the way up until February, March of this year to actually grieve for those sailors that we did those funerals for, you know. And it took a lot of things. It took a lot of doing uncomfortable things that I had no knowledge of. You know, my first EMDR session, I was sitting there with my therapist, and she's telling me like, you know, tap here. You know, she's taking me back into those settings. You know, I'm revisiting those emotions in that time frame. So it was tough. It was tough. You know, I look back on it now, and I'm honored to have been a part of it. But it definitely took a toll on my mental health. I remember I had a time to where I did a funeral for a kid. The kid was about 5 years old. This is what actually ended my funeral time there. They moved me up to the barbershop after this one. But I had to do a funeral for a kid. Kid had to be maybe between the ages of 4 and 6. And I had just had my daughter at the time, but you know, I'm going to a casket and I'm taking out a box weighing about that big. You know, it's big enough for me to carry it, you know. And I wasn't aware that it was a kid prior to. So, you know, I'm taking this box out and I'm kind of looking around like, you know, what is this? And that really took a toll on me, because now in my mind, you know, maybe I was taking on a little bit more than I should have, but now I'm stepping into a father role as I'm doing this funeral for this child, you know. So now I'm kind of just I took those same emotions back home, because I wasn't able to let it out right then and there on the site. I took those emotions back home, and it kind of took a toll on me, my relationship at the time. But all in all, the funeral service, I was honored to do so. Definitely left with some memories and issues that I did not know was going to transfer over 10 years later.
Yeah, because you were what, 20, 21, 22 at the time?
I was 19. I was 19. And we finished there once I turned 21. And once I got to the ship, I thought it was normal. You know what I mean? Like you said, we were around death 5 days a week, 6 funerals a day. Once you actually look back on it, that's a lot. You know, it stopped me from going to funerals for a while too. I couldn't do it. You know, we had one where we're passing on a flag, and they tried to pass it on to the remaining service member's family, and she just kept reiterating, like, you know, it should have been one of you guys. It shouldn't have been my son, and things like that. Yeah, that one was a big one. But yeah, you know, it's different. You know, being around death like that every day, that's not normal. You know, my granny passed in 2020, but I couldn't even go to her funeral. I regret it to this day now, because I was, you know, I guess I was just letting my emotions take over. But after being a part of so many, I didn't even feel comfortable going to.
So, Tawian, you say you went to therapy. How was that process?
It was good. I think it was rewarding. To be honest, I never thought I would be able to open up to somebody that I never knew. But, you know, I was able to get in front of a computer screen and spend about an hour with her twice a week. And I feel like it helped me clear my thoughts, express my emotions, as we spoke on earlier. And it's still an ongoing process. Truthfully, I don't know if it'll ever end, but it was helpful for me. I felt like I wasn't being judged. I felt like I was in a similar setting as we are now. It's just also too, like we spoke on, I had no knowledge of like a therapist or a psychologist. You know, growing up, that's not in our community, in our social economical background. They tell you we don't deal with depression and anxiety. That's for, you know what I mean? So when I got to this age, I'm like, yo, this is real. Like, we have people committing suicide because of these things. These are real. You know what I mean? These are real feelings, real emotions. Some people feel like they can't escape them. You know, they feel like there is no escape, only escape.
That's why, and that's part of the reason why men's suicide rate is so high, because you know, I was just watching Creed 2 the other day.
Really good movie.
And there's a scene where like where Creed, like, he got beat up by the Russian guy, and like really bad, and he went to a really bad mental space. And he was isolating himself from his family. He didn't really talk to anybody. And there's a scene where his mom and his wife are talking, and the mom said, he's a grown man. He just got to deal with this himself and find his own way out. And then it goes to the monologue where he's like going through these things to try to build himself back up. But that's not how we should be teaching that to men, to deal with these things by themselves. And I get the message they were trying to send was like, you can get through it if you be tough, but you shouldn't have to do it alone.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, bro. Like, I had a same situation. I tend to like, when I go through these stressful times or these overwhelming moments, the way I was taught to cope with it, same situation or a similar situation, you know, he'll figure it out on his own. Those are that was the mindset I had when I would go through things. I'm like, you know, I'll just isolate myself from everybody. I don't want to put any negativity on anybody, which could not be so far from the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have some really good close friends that I've known since I was maybe like 12, 13. And during these times of isolation, I would go back and reconnect with them. And this time, being of an older age, now I'm reconnected with someone I know from 16, 17, really close relationship. I'm speaking with him, and before I could even, you know, get my things out, he's kind of putting, you know, letting me know what he's going through. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, if I could have just called you 3 or 4 months ago, instead of kind of thinking, oh, I have to separate from myself from everybody and go through this on my own, we could have grown together in this process. So he could have understand, like, hey, I'm not alone. You know what I mean? Or I could have had the understanding of, okay, I can lean on my brother, someone I consider as a close friend. You know what I mean? So that kind of saying, oh, you know, figure it out on your own, it's not the right way to go about it, because 9 times out of 10, there's somebody going through the same situation, maybe a different scenario. You know, with the emotions that we go through and the things that the mental anguish we go through, nobody's too far ahead or too far behind.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Tawian, basically, I wanted to know, like, what foods do you like normally eat to kind of keep you healthy throughout the day? Since you say you're still in the Army, right?
Navy.
Okay.
But I don't want to say a basic person, but my nutrition is basic. I usually do chicken, fish, some rice, potatoes. Occasionally I'll do like some pasta, like Alfredo. But I'm big on like fruits and vegetables, especially like berries, strawberries, of course, pineapple. Big on the fruits and vegetables and the protein shakes. But chicken and rice and salmon, you know, I would say it's pretty basic, but I also I'll throw some steak in there. But yeah, besides those 3 meats, you know, I'll just do like a carb with it, and you know, kind of call it a day.
Were you always like that, or is it something you got into as you got older?
Oh yeah, as I got older. When I was younger, I stuffed whatever in my mouth. McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever I could find. Bad decision, you know, once you actually look and see the things that they utilize to make these things. But then I used to stuff anything in my mouth. Anything I could find that was food, it was getting eaten. As I got older, yeah. I think deployment might have helped out, because, you know, they kind of keep you on they just feed us strict menus. We know what we're eating before the night ends tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I think deployment helped with that, especially with the nutrition, you know, keeping fruits and vegetables in the diet while still eating a pretty balanced entree. So I think that helped out. But once I came back to land in the U.S., I kind of just honed in on it a little bit more and watch what I eat.
Now, yeah, and let's talk about your fitness influence. So when did that start? So you always worked out. Like I said, you were one of the ones who carried the caskets, ceremony of guard. So you guys always had to work out. But you know, when did that actually come on as something that's a lifestyle for you?
Yeah, deployment. We were set to go out in 2019 or 2020. No, 2019. I'm sorry, right before COVID. And when we loaded up on board, my whole mindset was in 9 months I would rather come back. You know, a little bit bigger than I left. And then once I got into the rotation of, you know, eating chow, you know, 3 or 4 times a day and getting up and doing 2 a days, the first month and a half was 4 o'clock workout, noon or 6 o'clock workout. And then from there, it just became a lifestyle, because it helped me mentally too. You know, I would go to the gym on deployment and kind of forget that I'm out at sea. You know, I'm like, I work out, I go to work, and then I'm looking like, oh, it's time to go to bed already. You know what I mean? I get to wake up and do it again. So those 9 months kind of like, it flew by. But then I also looked up like, oh man, like I'm doing better at work. You know, I have better communication skills. I'm a lot more confident in myself, in my decision making, just things like that. And I was like, oh snap, I really can't let this thing go. You know what I mean? But I will say, once we got back to the States, it wasn't as easy as keeping that routine of going to the gym, because now it's not like I'm stuck on a ship where it's my only option. You know what I mean? And then of course life happens to you and you kind of can fall off the wagon. So I would go through some mental things, and then I would realize after maybe about a week, 2 weeks of not going, that the gym was like, hey, this is what's kind of helping you stay on track. It's not, it's not the main thing, but it's definitely helping you keep a little bit of self-confidence to where you can say, okay, I can start working on myself mentally, or, I shouldn't feel this. You know what I mean? It starts to affect certain areas. So
let me ask, how is dealing with that, like healthy eating? Because I got some things I want to talk about too with the healthy eating. But how do you deal with that with having kids and a wife? Like, I'm the primary cook in the house, and my wife sometimes she'd be like, "Can you make something else?" And my daughter be like, "Yeah, this again." Like, so I try to find creative ways. Like, it's easy. Like, my son likes vegetables, so that's kind of easy. Like, I can throw some carrots, some broccoli, cauliflower, things like that. Boom, he'll eat it. But the processed food is the one that's like, I see that as not food anymore.
Yeah.
Because I got that knowledge now of what is healthy eating.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that, how it is as a father trying to raise your kids to eat healthier.
Yeah, it's difficult for sure. And my oldest daughter, she's okay with my cooking, but I'm gonna be honest, my old lady is like the primary cook in the house now. You know what I mean? We'll go to the store, she'll kind of rack up on some chicken. She'll ask me, she'll go and say, which meats do you want? I'll pick out 3. Now I'm the kid in the store. I'll pick out 3 meats. I'll load it in the cart, and then I'll kind of just let her do everything else. But yeah, Wayne, she's the primary cook in the house now. It's more so like I kind of tell her rice chicken, rice salmon. She kind of gets it, sets it up for me. But before that, it was tough. It was tough because trying to get my 9-year-old to adjust to like I wouldn't say a chicken and rice diet, but more so no more chicken nuggets or certain things like that. And they're kids; they want the Happy Meal, they want the toy inside. Yeah. That one was tough. So I'll say my wife she makes it 10 times easier by taking on that load.
Hey, well, shout out to the wife for holding it down,
100%.
Being the partner.
100%.
Yeah. So like I said, like the processed meats and things like that. Like I'm always now, first thing I do with anything I pick up is I look at the ingredients.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from enriched rice. So like we get the natural basmati rice from India. Mm-hmm. Only whole grain bread, like no enriched bread. And those few things right there, like as much rice and bread as we eat, like we are fit people. Like we're thin because we don't eat that processed stuff. And then like every once in a while, my kids will get some chicken nuggets or something, but I try to keep it to where everything is whole.
Yeah.
You know, we really don't even have cans in the house. Like we need vegetables, we go to the store, we get frozen or we get it fresh and we cook it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the part of a change though, like, because I was the same way before. When I used to come back on deployments, where we go? Straight to Taco Bell. Taco Bell, because you know, for $1 you can get tacos for like $10. You got food for 2 days, you know.
Yep.
So we used to go straight Taco Bell and like walk back with bags and eat that for days. When you're younger, you just eat whatever you can, and then you realize, like, man, I'm trying to live. Like, I'm trying to maintain my body and be around for my kids. And I don't want to have all these diabetes. Was in the Black community? Diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you know, heart disease, all those things like that. I don't want to have all that.
And also too, you realize like financially, it's not a good deal. You know, if we go McDonald's 2 or 3 times out the week, that's about $45. That $45 could feed you for 10 days. You know, you can go and get rice, chicken. You can go and get 2 proteins and two sides for $37.22. Not saying I'm counting, but you know.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday, my wife sent me to the store to get some chicken, and she was like, "Just buy the little strips, the chicken strips, and I'll just cook them in the noodles she was making." And I'm in the store and I'm looking, I'm like, the little tiny 1 pound pack of cut up chicken breast was like $8.
Yep.
And I was going to get 2 of them. So 2 pounds of chicken breast for $8 or $16. And I'm like, I can get the whole family pack of chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast, the whole pack for $15. But why am I? And that's triple the weight almost. Yeah. So I went ahead and got that. And like like you said, it's economical, right? That if otherwise, that $15 at McDonald's or whatever, that feeds you for one time. I got a whole pack of chicken, which, you know, it's like 6 breasts in there.
Yep.
That's gonna feed us over 3 days.
Over 3 days.
So it's actually cheaper to eat healthy if you look at it the right way.
I'm telling you, when I finally started to look at it, I was like, yo, I'm going to spend $15 on one meal, one like Chick-fil-A plus a drink and the fries, one meal, and I can go and feed my family for 3-4 days for the same amount. Oh, brother, I'll take that drive over to the
Yeah. So Taiwan, would you say that eating processed foods was left you like fatigue or not having a lot of energy versus, you know, more healthier foods?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the thing is, I would feel it like right away. You know, as soon as I would finish eating, I would give like 5-10 minutes, and I immediately I'm like, I'm ready to go ahead and lay it down. You know what I mean? I'm ready to take a nap. You know, you feel a difference. You feel a difference. It's like you can feel it almost right away, almost instantly. And don't get me wrong, it's good. I'm chewing on it. But as soon as it gets settled, you're like, oh man, 3-hour break now.
So we used to, me and my family, we used to eat Popeyes all the time.
Oh,
Popeye. I love them biscuits. And you know, once I started to make this transition to healthier living, I started to realize, like, why is that the flavor profiles? Because I stopped cooking with a lot of salt. Then you realize, like, it actually enhances your salt when you taste it in other foods. And so I would eat Popeyes after a while, and I'm like, man, why is it so salty all of a sudden? Like, last year didn't taste like that. And the same with sugar. I don't cook sugar at all, or in hardly any salt. Now I use a little bit more now, but when you take that out, like, and I go eat a candy bar or something, it's like my mouth is just like out of control because I'm like, what is all this sugar? I can't take it no more. And people say it's a part of getting old. It is a part of getting old. But at the same time, it's a part of understanding, like, when you take certain things out, you're not getting it all the time. Mm-hmm. Same like a drug or with alcohol, your tolerance lower. So if you drink alcohol every single day, you can drink a whole bottle. But if you only drink once a month, that one drink is really going to be enhanced because you don't have that tolerance. It's the same with salt and it's the same with sugar.
Yeah. I feel that one. I was a big fan of Popeyes too. I was a really big fan. I would go get the 2-piece spicy, give me 2 thighs. I was a really big fan of Popeyes.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I like church's chicken.
Oh, really?
I used to. They don't have that here no more.
They don't have. Yes, I
Yeah.
was about to say they don't have it. I did like churches for a while, but Popeyes, I felt like I was getting
Those,
more bang
those
for my
dry biscuits? No, we don't do that.
How you in the chokehold, Darren?
But anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I definitely would agree with you guys. You know, the versus processed foods versus nutrition foods, like you can definitely feel a difference in how you do it because like when you eat, just say you eat Taco Bell or you have a Chipotle, you so full.
Yeah.
And then when you eat like a salad or something like that, you still feel a little hungry, but if you eat a lot of salad, you can get full and it's a little bit
Mhm.
more better for you.
Yeah.
So
And you
I feel
feel
like, eating less processed foods is better for you overall because, you even live healthy. You even live a longer life when you eat better. Because you putting all of the bad processed foods down your body, it's not good for you overall because when you become older, then you develop a lot of health problems like
Mhm.
diabetes, high blood pressure, as we were saying. So, when you take care of yourself and you eat better and stuff like that, you do have a overall chance of living longer, in my opinion, versus
Yeah.
if you was to continue to just keep eating all those processed foods.
Right.
But to take care of myself, I definitely try to work out. I'm still trying to get away from all the processed foods. I'm not gonna lie, I do like that, but I realized that I gotta start to try to eat more and eat more at home because I'm a fast food person, so I like to eat out a lot. But yeah,
It's all about balance too, you know? It's all about balance. Like when you try to make a transition to healthier living, it's not going to be a switch where it's like, all right, that's it. Like you may be able to sustain that for a week, but then you're
Yeah.
going to go back to your routine. And when you accept that, this is a slow process. And little by little, like take one meal a week. This meal is going to be my healthy meal every single week now. And then eventually you make that, and then you start finding meals that you actually like. Then you take that into maybe one whole day. And then after a while, maybe, okay, now it's Mondays and Fridays. And then Saturday you binge eat or whatever we want to do. And then slowly but surely you start to do it more and more. And that's the way that you can overcome that.
and
100%.
also when I used to intermediate fast, so basically like
That is really good.
yeah, so like I would go like 12 hours without eating, and that was the worst. That was the most terrible time of my life because 12 hours without eating, and I love
Yeah.
to eat, so that's really hard. But I think it disappoints you, and then it also lets you know when you really are hungry and you're not just eating to be eating.
Yes.
That
So
is true too, because there's one thing that we realize, like when you're thirsty, sometimes your body maybe you may think that you're hungry. Really your body just needs you're actually dehydrated.
Yep.
And so instead of just going and get, you know, a Snickers bar or something, you grab a fruit, eat a peach or a banana,
Yep.
or something that has water in it, some cucumber with some little bit of dressing, and that'll satisfy those cravings as well.
to kind of wrap this up, guys, Taiwan, what would you suggest to somebody that's young, um, that wants to join the Navy or military? What type of foods should they be eating to kind of build their body up? Because we had a guest on here earlier in the season. He was talking about like you have to make sure that you get a lot of nutrients for your body, and so you can build more muscles or you can get the body you want. So how would you describe what type of foods would you describe should they eat?
I would stick to the basics. I know I keep saying it, but the chicken and the salmon is really big. Um, and I would tell them kind of just pay attention to their protein intake. If more so getting big is their thing, make sure that they're getting a right amount of protein. And I would say whatever your body weight is, if you can get that amount of protein a day. So let's just say if I'm 200 pounds, I would like to try to get 200 grams of protein in a day. It may sound like a lot. Truthfully speaking, I think one chicken breast or chicken thigh carries about like 20 to 26 grams of protein. You know what I mean? On top of your carbs or your rice or whatnot. So I would say focus on your protein, focus on your fruits and vegetables. Your water intake would be major. But those would be my main tips. If that person could focus on their protein and their water, and fruits and vegetables, that'll be the biggest thing that they would. If they can overcome that, then everything else is kind of falls secondhand. But
sleep.
mentally and sleep too. Sleep is a big one.
People sleep on the sleep.
Sleep is a really and I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how much sleep affected your recovery. But sleep is a major key. Sleep is a major key. Sleep is a major key. Get called, Wayne. But that, and then mentally, just making sure they're mentally prepared if they decide to join the service. Just be mentally prepared, because they'll get into the service and they'll understand that it's more or less a game. They just have to learn how to play it, and they tell you, right place, right time, in the right uniform. You already won half the battle. You know what I mean? So if that's their their prerogative is to join, then I would say just focus on those things and then mentally make sure they have that in order beforehand. But
how about you, Wayne?
So I would say, as far as joining the military, when you start out with any job, whether you're in the military, whether you're in construction, whether you're a realtor, whatever it is, IT, whenever you start out, you're going to be at the bottom. And it's going to be tough because you got so many people over you and you're trying to learn so much. And take that in, and that just is what it is. When you're younger and you're just starting out, you're at the bottom entry level, it's going to be tough. And you got to work your way up. And when you do that, things ultimately get a bit easier. You get a little more responsibility. Of course, your pay increases. So if you think about joining the military, you got some good benefits, which you don't realize when you're younger, like the healthcare. As somebody who just retired, like the price of healthcare is ridiculous, and so the military is free healthcare for you and your family. But you don't realize that when you're 19 years old, because you think you're invincible. Right? So that's one thing I would say is just that take it for what it is, but where you started is not where you have to finish.
Yeah, and to wrap up, I would say that definitely drink a lot of water, get a lot of rest. Make sure you're working out as well too. That's a big component, because a lot of times people, they think that they can eat right and get their body right, but they got to work out too. They got to work out, their whole body in order to feel better physically. Because I noticed when I worked out physically, I felt better mentally. A lot of people don't know that it goes hand in hand. Physical,
brother, telling you.
Oh,
yeah.
So also too, I would say to a mentor. Mentor is a big key. I know me and Wayne, he spoke briefly about our time in DC. He was in a different, I forgot what they call it back then. What did they call it when firing party? A different
company,
a different company. But we did have interactions to where I felt his genuine, care for me. You know what I mean? So I would say get a mentor. Someone that wants to see you succeed and that can, steer you in that direction, and just stay in good communication with that person, because a mentor can help you skip. Like Wayne said, you're going to start at the bottom, but to become a good leader, of course, you got to follow. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be a good follower, become a good leader, because you're going to eventually be in that position. So a mentor is very key as well. Mentor.
Yeah, I would say I second that, because my time. A lot of my time in the military, I thought that I didn't really need people. I would do it on my own, and that affected me mentally as well. Because seeing other people progress when I wasn't, even though I was working hard enough, I didn't really have somebody to talk to about those things and try to navigate certain things. Now I got like 4 or 5 mentors that I can call up, because I understand the importance of it. So definitely a mentor is key. And to wrap things up, like Duran said, this has been a good conversation. It's not the first of men's mental health, and it's not going to be the last. But feel free to reach out to us. Reach out to Tawian. Follow him on IG, Tawian Buford. He's also in the fitness industry. Posts good, motivating videos out there. He gives off good energy. So please give him a follow. And thanks for coming on. And we had a good conversation.
I appreciate you guys having me. Again, this is a safe haven. This is a safe space, brother, and I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it.
All right. It was nice meeting you, Taiwan. And
Yes,
feel free if you want to ever come back on the show.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to let other, Navy people know about us, we can always have people on the show. So don't be a stranger.
Down.
All right. Well, that's all we have today, guys. Any final thoughts before we go? Or good. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show today. We really thank Taiwan for coming on the show. And we're out.